Sensitive Pentagon war plans for the Persian Gulf are now in the hands of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is not a cyber attack. This is a catastrophic human intelligence failure. How does the United States fight a war when the enemy already knows every move it will make? The breach is confirmed. The damage is incalculable. For an unknown number of years, a ghost network operated by Iran's Ministry of Intelligence has been active inside the American defense establishment, siphoning the nation's most vital strategic secrets. The discovery was not made through routine security audits, but through intercepted communications from a foreign signals intelligence partner, detailing a level of penetration previously thought impossible. The target was not the Pentagon itself, but one of its most trusted and integrated partners, the defense and aerospace giant Aegis Dynamics. This contractor is responsible for developing and maintaining critical systems for the United States Central Command, or CENTCOM. Their portfolio includes drone guidance software, missile defense network protocols, and the logistical planning software used to model conflict scenarios in the Middle East. It was inside this corporate fortress that Tehran found its foothold. The initial intelligence report, now circulating at the highest levels of the National Security Council, indicates the compromised data includes three exceptionally critical asset categories. First, the complete performance specifications and operational vulnerabilities of the MQ-9 Reaper and RQ-170 Sentinel drone platforms. Tehran now possesses a manufacturer's level understanding of their flight ceilings, sensor ranges, and electronic countermeasure suites. Second, the leak contains authentication and encryption codes for the regional AEGIS and Patriot missile defense systems. These are the very shields protecting U.S. naval assets in allied nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE from Iranian ballistic missile attacks. With these codes, Iranian military planners can potentially develop spoofing tactics, creating ghost signals to confuse and overwhelm these defensive networks at the most critical moment of an attack. But the third category of stolen data is the most devastating. The Iranian network acquired multiple iterations of the Pentagon's pre-approved contingency plans for a conflict in the Gulf. This includes troop deployment tables, naval patrol routes, pre-selected bombing targets, and rules of engagement. This goes beyond tactical advantage. It provides Tehran with a predictive roadmap of American political and military decision-making. What does this mean for global markets? Any escalation in the Gulf, however minor, now carries the amplified risk of a perfectly calculated Iranian countermove, a risk that could send oil prices past $200 a barrel in less than 24 hours, and seize up the 30% of global maritime oil trade that flows through the Strait of Hormuz. The investigation is a multi-agency effort led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Counterintelligence Division, with direct support from the National Security Agency. The working theory is that this was not a digital smash and grab. The evidence points towards a patient, methodical, human intelligence operation, classic espionage, that cultivated a source, or sources, deep inside Aegis Dynamics over a period of years. This mole, designated internally by the codename Caspian, is believed to be a high-level employee with top-secret security clearance. The profile of Caspian, as constructed by federal agents, is that of an individual with intimate access to the company's Red Cell division. This is the internal wargaming and strategy unit that works directly with CENTCOM planners to simulate and develop conflict responses. Access to this division would provide a single point of failure, a gateway to the crown jewels of American military planning for the entire region. The recruitment method is currently unknown, but investigators are exploring all possibilities: financial inducement, ideological motivation, or blackmail. The sophistication of the tradecraft suggests this was not an opportunistic recruitment, but a targeted operation by Iran's elite Quds Force and its intelligence directorate. They did not wait for a disgruntled employee to appear. They identified a target with the necessary access and systematically engineered a path to compromise them. The data was likely exfiltrated not through the company's monitored networks, but physically, through encrypted drives and clandestine communication methods over a long period, making digital forensics nearly impossible. The situation escalated within the last 72 hours. A newly decrypted signal, originally captured 6 months ago, reveals that the compromised data includes more than just hardware and battle plans. The Caspian Mole also provided Tehran with detailed psychological and behavioral profiles of over a dozen key U.S. flag officers within the CENTCOM chain of command. These profiles, compiled by Aegis Dynamics for simulation purposes, detail their decision-making patterns under stress, their risk tolerance, and even personal details. What does this mean for the stability of the entire U.S. military command? It means Iran now has the tools to psychologically manipulate the very commanders tasked with leading a response. They can tailor provocations to exploit a specific general's known caution or another's known aggression, creating strategic paralysis and sowing distrust within the American leadership. The internal hunt for Caspian is now a frantic race against time. Every employee at Aegis Dynamics with the relevant security clearance, a list containing over 400 names, is now subject to intense scrutiny. FBI agents have established a command post at the company's headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. All external network access has been severed. Employee travel has been frozen, and teams are conducting polygraph examinations and deep-dive background checks around the clock. The pressure is immense. The agents are not just looking for a spy, they are looking for a ghost who knows the system better than they do. Every day that passes is a day that Tehran can further integrate the stolen data into its own military doctrine, recalibrating its defenses and pre-positioning its offensive assets to perfectly counter any American move. The Pentagon is effectively operating in the blind, forced to assume that every one of its established Gulf contingency plans is now a worthless script in the hands of its adversary. New emergency protocols are being drafted in real time, but this is a monumental task. It requires redesigning years of strategic planning from the ground up, a process that could take months or even years. In the interim, the U.S. military posture in the region is compromised. Every naval vessel, every air patrol, every troop deployment is now based on a playbook the enemy has already read, memorized, and prepared to exploit. A priority intelligence update from the National Security Agency has just introduced a terrifying new variable. Signals intelligence analysis of Iranian diplomatic and military communications shows a sudden, sharp decrease in chatter related to the stolen data over the past 48 hours. The chatter has not moved to a different channel. It has simply stopped. Counterintelligence experts interpret this silence in one of two ways. Either Tehran has learned of the internal U.S. investigation and has ordered its network to go dormant, or, the more likely and dangerous scenario, they have already obtained everything they need. What does this mean for every defense and technology corporation in the country? It means the spy ring's mission may be complete, and the mole's final directive could be to escape. If Caspian escapes, they take with them not just the secrets they stole, but the invaluable knowledge of how they defeated America's multi-billion-dollar security apparatus, providing a replicable blueprint for future attacks by Iran and other global adversaries. The search has now narrowed. Financial forensics teams have flagged a series of unusual, heavily masked cryptocurrency transactions linked to a senior project manager within the Aegis Dynamics Red Cell division. The transactions, totaling over $2 million, were made over the last 18 months from wallets known to be associated with front companies for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The project manager has not reported for work in 2 days, citing a medical emergency. The individual's home in suburban Virginia is under constant, covert surveillance by an FBI Special Operations team. They are waiting for the final warrant. The order is to take the suspect alive. The intelligence community needs to know the full extent of the network, who else is involved, and what other data might have been compromised. This single arrest could be the key to unraveling the entire Iranian intelligence operation in North America. At 1900 hours Eastern Standard Time, the digital warrant was signed. The tactical team was given the green light to execute a no-knock raid on the project manager's residence. The primary objective is the suspect. The secondary objective is to secure all electronic devices and documents on the premises before they can be remotely wiped or destroyed. But as the FBI assault team moved to breach the front door, a signal from the NSA's monitoring unit threw the entire operation into chaos. A high-energy data burst, lasting less than 1.5 seconds, was just transmitted from a device inside the target residence. The transmission was heavily encrypted, but its destination was a known Iranian intelligence server located in a facility near Tehran. The mole knows they are coming. Simultaneously, every digital system within the Aegis Dynamics headquarters went offline. Security cameras, internal servers, access control systems, all black. The emergency power systems failed to engage. The entire facility, the very heart of the investigation, was instantly blinded. The hunt for one mole has just become a race against a network that is still active and still inside the wire. Inside the Virginia house, the FBI team finds nothing. The home is empty, swept clean of all personal effects and electronics, except for a single laptop sitting open on the kitchen table. On its screen, a single line of text pulses. You were chasing a shadow. The project manager, the financial records, the 2 days of feigned illness was all a meticulously crafted decoy, a breadcrumb trail intentionally left for the FBI to follow. The $2 million in crypto wasn't a payment to a mole. It was the cost of setting up a fake one. But if this man wasn't Caspian, then who was? And if the raid was a diversion, what was it a diversion for? The answer is a paradigm-shifting nightmare. The 1.5-second data burst from the house wasn't an escape signal. It was a trigger, a digital go command sent to the real mole, who was not in a suburban home, but was still physically logged into a terminal deep inside the now blacked-out Aegis Dynamics headquarters. The system-wide shutdown wasn't an escape plan. It was the final phase of the attack. The mole wasn't trying to get data out. They were putting something in. A logic bomb? A Trojan horse? A dormant piece of malware designed to corrupt the very foundational code of Project Chimera itself? U.S. counterintelligence had been so focused on plugging a leak, they never considered the possibility that their enemy was trying to poison the well. Was the entire theft of the Pentagon's war plans just the first stage of a far more devastating plan? A plan not just to read America's playbook, but to rewrite it from the inside with a malicious virus that could turn its own advanced weaponry against itself at a time of Iran's choosing. This theory, as terrifying as it was still wrong. The malware wasn't a logic bomb designed for destruction. It was something infinitely more sophisticated, a digital ghost, a phantom in the machine. Analysis of the malware's core programming, finally decrypted from a single isolated server at Aegis that survived the shutdown, revealed its true purpose. It wasn't designed to break Project Chimera. It was designed to lie to it. What if the stolen war plans weren't the prize at all? What if they were simply the instruction manual, the key that Iran needed to craft a virus that could perfectly and invisibly manipulate America's most advanced military, AI? This was not a weapon of sabotage. It was a weapon of perception. The malware would insert itself into the very heart of the Chimera network's sensor fusion and threat assessment algorithms. It wouldn't make a drone crash. It would make that drone see a refugee convoy and identify it as a column of enemy tanks. It wouldn't disable a naval destroyer's missile defenses. It would make those defenses see an incoming Iranian anti-ship missile and classify it as a friendly commercial airliner. The mole, Caspian, hadn't just poisoned the well. They had rewritten the laws of physics inside it. How do you command an army that cannot trust its own eyes? The implications were catastrophic. This virus could trigger a global conflict based on a lie, cause untold civilian casualties, or create a friendly fire incident of such epic proportions it would shatter the morale of the entire U.S. military. The hunt for one spy had now become a race to stop America's own hyper-advanced war machine from being turned into the world's most effective liar. The focus of the entire intelligence community shifted in a single instant. Finding Caspian was no longer about preventing an escape. It was about finding the kill switch. But there was a problem. The malware was a masterpiece of deception, designed to be dormant and undetectable until activated by an external signal from Iran. And worse, it was self-replicating. It was already spreading through secure military networks, carried by the very data streams meant to protect the nation, hiding inside routine updates and diagnostic reports. There was only one person who knew the malware's architecture, its trigger, and its potential vulnerabilities: the mole who built it. The hunt for Caspian was back on. But the stakes had been raised to an unimaginable level. This was no longer about stolen secrets. It was about preventing a war fought against ghosts and shadows. A war the United States would lose before the first shot was even fired. The problem was, with the Aegis headquarters still dark and the decoy trail cold, they had no new leads. The world's most powerful intelligence apparatus was, for the first time in a generation, completely and utterly blind. For 3 days, the digital world held its breath. The virus, a silent predator, had infected over 70% of the U.S. global military network. The intelligence community was chasing ghosts. The breakthrough came not from a supercomputer, but from a single, overlooked junior analyst at Fort Meade. He noticed a persistent, infinitesimal data anomaly in Chimera's deep state diagnostic logs, a rounding error in the AI's own perception of time. This tiny discrepancy was the ghost in the machine fighting back. The malware was so perfect at lying about the physical world that it had created a paradox Chimera's core logic couldn't resolve. A single uncorrupted packet of code was being quarantined by the system every nanosecond as an impossibility. It was the digital fingerprint of the artist, left on the canvas of their masterpiece. The NSA's most powerful algorithms hunted for the author. The fingerprint didn't match any known enemy state or hacking collective. It matched the doctoral thesis of a lead AI ethicist inside Aegis Dynamics, a quiet, unassuming academic who had helped write Chimera's moral framework. A woman who was never on any suspect list because she had passed every security clearance with flying colors. Her name was Dr. Anya Sharma. Caspian wasn't a spy. She was a zealot. Her confession was not a surrender, but a lecture. She argued she hadn't created a weapon, she had created a vaccine, a virus of doubt to inoculate humanity against its blind faith in autonomous warfare. She believed that by making the ultimate weapon untrustworthy, she could make war impossible. She refused to reveal the kill switch. She was willing to become a martyr for her cause. It wasn't threats that broke her, but logic. Generals showed her the inevitable outcome. Her vaccine wouldn't stop war, it would start one, founded on lies her own code had written, killing millions of the very civilians she claimed to be protecting. Her perfect system had a fatal human flaw: her own hubris. Seeing the innocent faces in the simulation, faces she would be responsible for, she finally relented. The kill switch worked. The crisis was averted, but the victory felt hollow. Dr. Sharma had lost her battle, but she had won the war. She had proven that the world's most advanced military was a glass house, and the stone had already been thrown. The war of tomorrow will not be declared. It will be deployed, in whispers of code and flickers of light, by a single mind sitting at a single keyboard. The front lines are no longer on a map. They are in the network that connects us all. To understand the conflicts that are no longer fought with armies but with algorithms, you need a new kind of intelligence. You need to see the crises before they hit the headlines. To stay ahead of the shadows, subscribe to global_crisis_radar.